over 65.
Oh my goodness. Who knows, man? You might get a line cook out of that.
Hey, push it.
A little retiree.
That's right.
So have you seen any changes in your mise en place and ingredients with the seasonal changes? Meaning more so not just like from spring to summer, but drought, a lot of rain.
The menu, this is like a daily thing. Sourcing up here, there is no pick up the phone and call and deliver tomorrow. It doesn't exist.
Yeah.
So it's like, what can we get tomorrow? Like, I drove into the valley today, Anderson Valley, to get persimmons. And, it's like, luckily there's nowhere to live up here. So the chefs live all up and down the coast. So they can all stop at different farms on the way or stop at the harbor and pick up fish. If it rains a little bit more, it's like, all right, run out in your backyard and pick mushrooms before service or before you come to work that day. So it's like, there's no central purveyor that, we just pick up the phone. It's like, what can we get? And every day is like that. It's pretty inconsistent, which is actually a blessing in disguise because it keeps you engaged.
Yeah,
you can get whatever you want whenever you want it. I think you can kind of burn out that way. It's like you don't burn out from going too hard. You kind of burn out from going too slow.
Yeah.
You give yourself a chance to breathe. It's like, oh, this is nice.
You get a little stagnant.
What's this?
So when did you first want to forage for seaweeds and stuff? Was this always something you wanted to do?
No, it was. Yeah, I mean, back at the Royal Mail, we would drive out to the ocean and like the I guess it would be the southeast coast of Australia is literally this area. It looks like it just broke off and went down there. It's all the same seaweeds. There's eucalyptus everywhere. The cliffs are the same. It's like
so it's sort of where you learned.
Yeah,
to do this.
It's like the same sea lettuce. So for me, it just makes sense to I don't know if you saw, but there's a path behind Harbor House that goes down to the beach.
I did see that.
Like right before you arrived for dinner, I was on the beach picking seaweeds. Mm-hmm. So it's like the one seaweed that was in the sea cucumber dish, it's only good for like 5 to 10 minutes after being picked, and then it gets like hard as shit.
Really?
Yeah. So you eat on the beach, it's soft, and like an hour later, it's like, oh, this is not even edible.
Why does that happen?
I have no idea.
I think it's rigor?
I don't know.
Rigor mortis?
I don't
that
know.
Might be crazy.
But yeah, I mean, like being so in touch with the ingredients here is like no other restaurant I've been to where you're like, your finger is on the pulse. It's like, okay, we're doing this turnip thing or this cardoon thing. This is kind of like it was like a light went off when we were doing this cardoon dish like early on, and it like rained the next day. And it's like, oh, these aren't the same. Mm-hmm. And now like everything, we taste it and then we decide how to cook it every day. So it's like the menu will change a little bit every day, just depending on availability and what we want to do. Like when we first opened, I was just changing everything every day, and I just like wanted a little bit more consistency and to refine it a little bit. But that was like, it was pretty fun to cook like that, just straight off the cuff. And it still happens for sure. Like we're at lineup just before service, and it's a new dish, and it's like, I don't know, we'll see what happens, mm-hmm. and I'll run it, and don't worry about it. It's like, I think you had a couple things tonight. You were like, what's that? And she's like, because like sometimes I just don't tell them. I'm just cooking. I'm just cooking during service.
Cook and have it. Yeah.
Tonight I did it like this, and tomorrow I might do it differently. And I don't want to lose that because it gets you out of bed in the morning. Having that freedom and going back to, you cook for stars. It's like you don't do that when you cook for stars because it has to be grammed out. Like we don't we don't use recipes. There's no recipes, and it's like the recipe is the spoon vein with 25 spoons in it that we run through it every 10 minutes, and we just taste abusively. And that's the recipe book,
Do you find yourself sort of planning for a book at some point?
Like a cookbook?
Like a cookbook, yeah.
Like there actually people have already reached out because I guess it is a unique thing, a unique place.
It really is, man. It really is.
There was something that was kind of planned pre-COVID, and then obviously that just like hit the back burner. But I think it's too early. We're still finding our bones. So, yeah.
That's awesome to hear you say that, because a lot of times people they'll find their success, they'll get their star, and they'll be like, okay, yeah, I'm good. you know, and to keep constantly going and say, we're not done yet.
I just want to cook, man.
Yeah,
It's
exactly.
Just like, what are we doing today? I don't know. Let's I say it in the kitchen all the time. Go get all the best shit and let's make a menu.
Yeah.
It's like, those are the words. It's like, and like once one of the cooks volunteers, like, oh, I know a mushroom guy. And I'm like, are you sure? And like, yeah, I can get them. And it's like, I'm just on them. It's like, all right, you're the fish guy. Like, where's Gary? Is Gary diving for sea cucumbers? Call him. Yeah. Mushrooms. This. Fish. Where's Brian with the fish? And it's like, we're just working with these like solo people with one guy on a boat. And it's like, what do you catch? There's no one. We can look out the kitchen and be like, fuck, it's pretty rough. We're not going to have fish for 3 days. Pivot. We'll go veg heavy. It's like, you only had one meat course, and like, that's the only meat in the restaurant. We don't make stocks and things like that. It's like, your meat sauce is kelp based. It's like, just vegetable heavy, seafood heavy, and when you have to pivot, we pivot.
I thought the pickled egg was pretty goddamn tasty. Because I've been trying to do a pickled egg for a long time because I want it.
So those are from August.
You know? Yeah, so explain that. Just like...
They're just like... I mean, the egg is still... It's just like almost blanched for 2 minutes, peeled, but obviously the yolk is soft. And then just...
just put in whatever liquid
pickle,
you want.
Yeah, and just forget about it. Those are in a miso pickle.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
That's what I see.
Like little sauce underneath is like a little mirin, Sucio miso, and dashi.
Yeah.
Just to like balance it a little bit.
Very cool. Now, are you getting your sort of ideas from restaurants you've worked at? Are you reading anything right now that's
I don't read
influencing?
cookbooks.
Okay.
I think that there's like a foundation in like lightness and balance of Japanese food. That going back to like Saison, I wasn't that into the food because for me it was just like coming from Japan where I fell in love with the delicate balance and like lightness of it. For me, like Saison was like fifth gear only, just like full on seasoning, aggressive,
fire,
fuck, like for me everything tasted the same because he does like the Saison sauce, and it's like that is the premier seasoning for the entire menu. And again, this is just for me. People fucking love that restaurant, obviously. Like, people go crazy. It's a lot of people's favorite restaurant in the world. But for me, I think maybe just tasting. Like, so I would do the tasting every day at 3:45, taste every single thing. And, like, I didn't see, like, a balance throughout the menu. It was just, like, everything intense as it could be. Like, just full on. Like, my mouth would hurt after tasting every day. I would just get like sick, and I just wanted to, change the way the menu worked.
Did you find any kind of? Did you feel any certain type of way while you were eating all that kind of food?
Oh, I get super sick every day.
Yeah, because like sometimes
every day I was just like. And then on my day off at 3:45, I would get sick. Like, even not being in the restaurant.
That's
funny. Like, I was like, oh fuck.
You know what? I've been getting a lot
like
of
people love the sea urchin toast. Yeah, eat that every day for 2 years straight at the same time.
I'm good. That's funny. I've been getting a lot of COVID tests recently.
Yeah.
So now it's getting to the point where my nose salivates when I'm going to get one. It just starts like getting the tingly feeling, and I'm like, dude. What the fuck, man?
The body's smart.
Yeah, it's that, and seeing people without a mask, you start looking like, what the fuck you doing over there? That's awesome. So, is there any new things happening with Harbor House? What are you working on? What's in the future here?
Yeah, we got a pretty large ranch. Like an actual ranch.
Awesome. How big?
320 acres.
Damn.
like a real ranch.
You grow some corn, fucking dude. Jesus.
Yeah. So the whole idea is to just shrink the footprint as much as we can. There's the idea from day one, but it's just hard to get food here. There's a ton of farms, but fishermen just that you place an order and they're like, hey, I didn't go fishing, sorry. And you're like, what the fuck?
Yeah, I know what you're saying.
Like,
Dude,
what do you mean?
people, they say the artisans. When they
Yeah.
say that, you're like, those motherfuckers work when they want to work.
Yeah.
You know?
So I think just overall shrinking the footprint of where our food comes from, like really, understanding the whole process. So we'll do a farm, and then on the other parcel, we'll raise the animals.
Cool. What kind of animals are you looking to raise?
So we've been serving goat for a while, and like definitely goat, ducks. There'll be a little bit of beef, but just a couple head, and lamb.
Very cool.
So maybe then like eventually quail. So we can, the meat portion of you probably get 2.5 ounces, 60 grams there, and it's just a taste. Everything's aged in house, and I think you had some leg tonight.
Mm-hmm. Are you aging in any certain way, or are you just hanging in the walk
just
and
like
let it
hung?
go?
Yeah, just hung.
Yeah.
We have the dehumidifiers in there, some fans. So, I mean, those things pull out a ton of moisture.
Yeah, for sure
so,
they do.
Depending on the time of year, the fat content, it's like picking fruit. So we'll go through the walk-in every day and be like, okay, this is ready, this isn't, this needs more time. And like when you're doing this every day, someone will send up a piece of meat or something, like, this is like fucking 2 weeks old. Like, what is this?
Yeah.
So you try to never get it. It's like, I think that's literally happened like once or twice. But like when you get used to a certain like texture and taste, you kind of like really start to appreciate that. So you don't need a lot of that. And there's always usually a vegetable component to the plate that's just as large as that piece of meat. So it's, if we can raise animals, then we only have 2 goats this month. We went pescatarian for a while, so it's like meat is just kind of there, and it's like, it's sustainable to raise goats, and they do fire breaks, and it's like they're just going to be fully wild animals on 300 acres. So it's like there's going to be no intervention.
Yeah.
So we're going to taste what the grass is doing, and is it a dry year? All these things. I think like the coolest piece of meat I've ever had up here was. We got this cow just south of Harbor House, and it's like right on the bluff, and we went to visit the whole herd, and the rancher's like, this is a fucking hermaphrodite. And I was like, what the fuck are you talking about? She's like, yeah, it's born without reproductive organs. And I was like, she started telling you about it, so it couldn't be like milked or anything. So I was like, well, take it. And what happens there is all the fat for a grass-fed animal is stored in the animal. Nothing goes into the milk. So for a grass-fed animal, it had tons of fat. And it was June, so the grass was still green. And being on the bluff, all the salt is hitting the grass. So the meat is like pre-seasoned, really fatty grass-fed beef. And it's like, well, this is the par now. Just like everything else. It's like, if you hand me something that's the best version of it, well, we can't
go back. Yeah,
this is now. This is the drug. This is the high. This is what we're chasing.
Chasing the white dragon.
So it's like when a chef is like, cool, I'll do mushrooms. I'm like, are you sure?
Yeah.
And no, it's actually, we're just chasing that taste.
Do you find that you have any difficult diners up here? I tend not to think so, because if you're so far out, people that come here know what to kind of expect.
The only time we'll have an issue is if people don't know what they're getting themselves into.
Yeah.
We had a table tonight, no seafood, and it's like, what?
Yeah, that ain't right.
No they don't like seafood or vegetables. Like, we have a meat-heavy menu, and it's like, no, because it doesn't exist. So we feed them the regular menu, and at the end of the day, this is not, we didn't, it's like, oh, you didn't like it, and when you say, what about it, or why didn't you like it? It's not like, was something salty? Was something overcooked, undercooked? Was it tough? No, you just don't like seafood and vegetables, and this is a seafood and vegetable restaurant. Yeah. So I think that's the only time, but I think people are usually pretty relaxed. They know what they're getting themselves into.
For sure.
You're not just going to walk in off the street because
you can't.
It doesn't exist.
You can't. Fucking can't. That's awesome. So, other than the ranch, is there anything else going on? Do you have any other plans?
No, we'll do some housing. You'll do some housing out there for staff because it's so difficult.
Yeah.
But
most of them live in Anderson Valley?
No, we're all up and down the coast from Fort Bragg to Point Arena. So,
okay.
Yeah, I mean, it's just like there's nothing out here,
Yeah.
so we'll try and get some houses built.
So you're seeing yourself out here for the long haul.
Yeah, no, I mean, for me, there's no better place to cook. I think when someone's like, a meal like this all the way out here, I'm like, no,